Hi everyone, it's Katrina. History is full of surprises. Today we will unearth incredible archaeological discoveries that shock the world. From ancient grenades concealed within the Great Wall of China to a mummified monk tucked inside a Buddha statue, these finds rewrite history and challenge everything we thought we knew. So be sure to subscribe and let's go! The Great Wall Fort. Legend has it that the course of the Great Wall was determined by an unlikely architect. A dragon! That's right, a dragon. The builders supposedly followed the path left behind by the dragon to determine which way the wall would go. Do you believe that? Did a dragon help create one of the world's greatest archaeological wonders? Or is it just a myth? For centuries, the Great Wall has stood as a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. But even this monumental structure holds hidden chapters. Workers in Dogmengu, a town in Shanxi province, stumbled upon this fortress while doing construction. They initially found two mysterious clay statues of large humans with white painted faces wearing dark-colored tunics and red hats. Another statue was found nearby of a man kneeling and holding a scroll in his hand, and it was these statues that led to the discovery of Qingpingbao Fort. Qingpingbao is a 1,500-year-old stronghold that has been hidden beneath the desert sands for centuries. The fort was built in 1475 during the Ming Dynasty and was part of a network of 36 other forts along the Great Wall. They were designed to defend against northern invaders, not just the Mongols, as some people believe. The Mongols were definitely a threat, don't get me wrong, but not until the 11th century AD. Nomadic tribes attempting to cross over into Chinese territory were the main issue when the earliest walls were built between 500 and 700 BC. Genghis Khan's Mongol army didn't even invade China until the 13th century. Strategically located where the northern desert meets southern mountains, the fort didn't just protect, it thrived. Archaeologists found evidence of both military and civilian life within its walls, meaning that this place was a hub of trade, culture, and daily living, like its own city. But why was it abandoned? Experts think it was deserted during the Kangxi period, between 1661 and 1722, when politicians didn't really care much about the Great Wall. The layout of the fort is fascinating. At its heart stood a grand pavilion on a high platform. Only the base remains today. 4 main streets branched out from this central square, lined with shops, homes, and courtyards where soldiers and civilians once mingled. Down one street, archaeologists uncovered 10 buildings, complete with millstones, which are used to grind grains, like wheat, into flour. What's even more impressive was the discovery of Xianying Palace, a sprawling complex with a main hall, bedrooms, and even a stage. The palace's courtyards and verandas revealed clay statues that tell a tale of cultural diversity. Some of them showed traditional Chinese designs, while others had Mongolian influences, meaning that Qingpingbao was likely a melting pot of cultures and ideas. Before we continue, I wanted to say a big thank you to Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus for sponsoring today's video. For you gamers out there, I have a surprise for you. If you like the Warhammer universe or just want to try something new, you are going to love this. If you love the strategic gameplay and rich lore of the 40,000 universe, then you are going to really appreciate Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus. I love these kinds of games even though I'm really bad at them. In this game, you assemble and lead an army of legendary Warhammer 40,000 champions from 17 playable factions like Space Wolves, Thousand Sons, Black Templars, and more. I personally like how a champion has unique abilities and skills that you have to carefully strategize to build the perfect team for your battles. The combat is fast-paced and tactical, as the name implies, with a variety of units and abilities to choose from. You'll need to use your wits and tactical prowess to outmaneuver your opponents and emerge victorious. You can fight against other players or strategize together in high-stakes battles. One of the things I love most about Tacticus is the vast amount of content available. There are over 80 champions to collect, and there's always fresh content, new game modes, and challenging events. If you're a fan of Warhammer 40,000 or strategy games in general, I highly recommend checking out Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus. It's an amazing game that will keep you entertained for hours, that's for sure. Check out the QR code or the description box to start playing. And there's more! Use the code HELLOJAN for 2,000 gold and 50 blackstones available until February 1st, so don't wait! And now, back to the video. Thanks for watching! Remember to check the description box and download Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus and let me know how it goes. See you next time! The Mummified Monk in the Buddha. In 2014, doctors at the Neanderthal Medical Center in the Netherlands had one of their most unique patients ever, a 1,000-year-old Buddha statue. This wasn't just any ancient artifact. Hidden inside the statue was a mummified monk sitting in the lotus position. But why? Researchers were determined to uncover the secrets of this mysterious monk. The story that emerged was more fascinating than anyone could have imagined. The Buddha statue, which had been part of a museum exhibit featuring mummies from around the world, was carefully placed into a high-tech CT scanner. Guided by Buddhist art expert Erik Bruin, doctors used imaging and endoscopic tools to peek inside without damaging the artifact. What they found was shocking. The monk's organs had been removed and replaced with scraps of paper covered in ancient Chinese characters, along with other mysterious materials. So, who was this monk, before he was turned into a statue? The body inside the Buddha is believed to belong to Liu Chuan, a Buddhist master from the Chinese meditation school who died around 1100 AD. But how did his body end up inside the statue? One leading theory involves the grueling practice of self-mummification. This wasn't just about preserving the body, but about becoming a revered living Buddha. Monks who went through this process followed an extreme regimen that lasted years. They abandoned typical foods like rice and soybeans and instead consumed nothing but tree bark, pine needles, and nuts to strip their bodies of fat and moisture. Then, to top it off, they drank poisonous tree sap, which acted as a sort of internal embalming fluid to repel insects and slow decay. These monks were hardcore. Can you imagine what it would be like to live on such a restrictive diet for years? No thank you. When the time came, the monk would be buried alive in an underground chamber, sitting in meditation with a bamboo tube for air. Each day, the monk would ring a bell to signal they were still alive. But when the bell stopped, followers sealed the tomb and waited 3 years before reopening it. If the monk had mummified successfully, the body was placed in a temple for veneration. If not, they believed the monk had failed and reburied him with an exorcism, just in case. Liu Chuan's body was remarkably preserved inside the Buddha statue, and amazingly, it is the only mummified monk ever found in this way. Today, the statue travels to museums worldwide, captivating audiences with the dedication it represents. It really makes you wonder just how far someone will go for their beliefs. And now for a quick break because I wanted to give a big thank you to the Michael for the super thanks. It really means a lot, and we wouldn't be here without you. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe to join the Origins Explained family. 80-million-year-old dinosaur eggs. Do you think it's possible that in the future, scientists might be able to bring dinosaurs back to life? How would they do such a thing? They would probably start with some dinosaur eggs, right? Well, guess what was found in China in 2021? That's right, scientists discovered 6 perfectly preserved dinosaur eggs from the late Cretaceous period. They were found at a construction site in Guangzhou. Among these eggs was the tiniest intact dino egg ever uncovered, measuring just over an inch long. It belonged to a previously unknown species with a long and crazy name. Researchers quickly realized that these weren't your average dinosaur eggs. And after 3 years of careful study using high-tech tools, they confirmed the eggs were from a small carnivorous dinosaur, likely a theropod. Theropods are a group that includes the legendary T-Rex. But these weren't little mini T-Rexes. Scientists are still trying to figure out what these dinos look like and how they lived. The tiny egg is so special because it broke the record for the smallest known dinosaur egg, which previously stood at 1.3 inches. But the egg wasn't just tiny, it was unique. Its thickness, shape, and pore patterns were unlike anything seen before, providing clues about the species' reproductive strategies and biology. The discovery also added to the diversity of dinosaur eggs from the late Cretaceous, showing us just how much we still need to learn about these ancient creatures. In the near future, the team plans to dig even deeper. Using micro-CT scanning, they'll create 3D models of the eggs' insides. By doing this, they hope to uncover details about how the eggs formed, what kind of environment these dinosaurs lived in, and how they raised their young. Who knows? This tiny egg could lead to big revelations about dinosaur evolution. The ghost ship of the Pacific. Can a ship be resurrected? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In August 2023, underwater drones searching the depths of the ocean uncovered the wreck of a legendary World War II vessel known as the Ghost Ship of the Pacific. It was sitting intact 3,500 feet beneath the surface. But how did this ship, which had already seen more twists and turns than a Hollywood thriller, end up on the ocean floor? The USS Stewart began its journey in 1920 as a Clemson-class destroyer for the U.S. Navy's Asiatic Fleet. By 1942, during the brutal Battle of Badung Strait in Indonesia, the ship was heavily damaged. While it was docked at East Java, the Navy decided it was beyond repair and sank it deliberately to keep it out of enemy hands. Now, here's the first twist. A year later, the Stewart reappeared, not as a ghost, but as part of the Imperial Japanese Navy's fleet. Wait, what? The Japanese had salvaged the ship, repaired it, and repurposed it for escort duty. Imagine the surprise when Allied forces spotted their own sunken ship sailing under the enemy's flag. After the war ended in 1945, the U.S. Navy took the Stewart back. They gave it a new number, DD-224, and the crew started calling it Ramp 224, short for Recovered Allied Military Personnel. That's because its new job was bringing prisoners of war back home. But by 1946, the Stewart's wild ride was finally over. They sank it once again, this time using it for target practice for aircraft. So there it lies at the bottom of the Pacific, its story seemingly over. But wait, there's more! Fast forward to modern times. Maritime archaeologist Russ Matthews spent years trying to find the ship's final resting place near the Cordell Bank Sanctuary. But locating and exploring such a deep-sea wreck required resources beyond his reach. So that's where Ocean Infinity came in, a marine robotics firm with a fleet of advanced autonomous underwater vehicles. In April 2023, Matthews pitched the idea to Andy Sherrill, Ocean Infinity's operations director, who saw the perfect opportunity to test their new drones. Later that year, 3 20-foot-long torpedo-shaped drones plunged into the Pacific just off the coast of Northern California and began their search. Within hours, they located the USS Stewart, perfectly upright and astonishingly well-preserved after having been used for target practice. Later imaging revealed the ship covered in marine growth but still recognizable as a 314-foot-long destroyer, a rare and pristine example of its class. The discovery stunned researchers and ocean historians. Maria Brown, a marine sanctuary superintendent, called it exceptional. She said that its state of preservation makes it one of the best examples of a four-piper destroyer. What do you think it would take to bring the USS Stewart back to the surface? Is it even possible, or should it be left undisturbed? Ancient grenades. What do you think of when you picture the Great Wall of China? Ancient wonders, serene landscapes? How about grenades? This wall has an explosive past that until recently, archaeologists knew nothing about. Researchers uncovered 59 ancient stone grenades along the iconic wall, hidden in the ruins of a weapon warehouse in the part of the Badaling section, which is about 50 miles from Beijing. In the blink of an eye, this 2,000-year-old wall went from a marvel of engineering to more like the set of an ancient action movie. These weren't just any old stones. These grenades had a special hole right in the middle, and that's where they would stuff the explosives, seal it up tight, and then boom! Chuck them at the enemy. And guess what? These weren't some fancy newfangled thing. Way back during the Ming Dynasty, from 1368 to 1644, they were using gunpowder weapons like this all the time, especially to protect their wall from those pesky nomadic tribes. The Great Wall itself has a long and dramatic history. It's not just one wall, but a series of walls built over the centuries, starting as early as the 7th century BC. The first emperor of the United China, Qin Shi Huang, linked many of the walls in the 3rd century BC, creating the foundation of the massive structure we know today. The Ming Dynasty later strengthened and expanded it, making Badaling one of its best preserved and most visited sections. The discovery of the stone grenades provides a rare glimpse into how guards protected the wall. These weren't just ancient soldiers standing around with bows and arrows. They had cutting-edge weapons for the time and fortifications, as well as tools like fire pits, cooking utensils, and shovels. The warehouse itself was the first of its kind found along the wall, adding a new layer of intrigue to its history. Imagine being a member of a nomadic tribe, never having heard of a grenade before, only to have one hurled right at your face. You wouldn't know what hit you. Gunpowder, which was invented in China around the 9th century, revolutionized warfare. China's military was one of the most advanced in the world, with more gunpowder-equipped soldiers than any other state at the time. The grenades found at Badaling are a testament to that innovation, combining strategy, technology, and a little bit of fiery flair. The mystery of the miniature pyramids. Did you know that Sudan actually has more pyramids than Egypt? Mind-blowing, right? In the scorching deserts of Sudan, archaeologists have uncovered a mysterious cemetery near Sedanga, dotted with miniature pyramids. We're talking everything from little guys about the size of a coffee table to some that were still pretty impressive, reaching 32 feet tall. And get this, some of them were even built for children. But what's the story behind these pint-sized pyramids? And why do they raise so many questions about ancient cultures? Before we jump into it, let me set the scene. Thousands of years ago, Egypt's famous pyramids loomed as symbols of royal power and innovation. Around the 6th century BC, they just kind of stopped building them. Nobody really knows why, but around that time, the Nubians, who lived in what is now Sudan, basically took over Egypt for a while. They definitely left their mark, and eventually they started building their own pyramids, but more medium-sized ones, mostly for their royal tombs. But here's the weird thing about these pyramids. They weren't just for royalty. Seems like almost everyone was getting in on the pyramid building action. Archaeologists found tons of burial chambers under these little guys, way more than you would expect in a normal cemetery. So were pyramids suddenly a thing for everyone, not just the elite? This really flips the script on what we thought we knew about pyramids. And then there's this other mystery. Some of these pyramids have strange circular stone structures inside, and nobody really knows what they're for. They don't seem to have any structural purpose. One researcher thinks they might be connected to even older burial traditions, like a blend of local customs and Egyptian ideas. Sedanga was a major trading center back in the day, so all of that wealth likely helped fund the construction of all of these pyramids. But why continue the pyramid tradition long after Egypt abandoned it? There are all sorts of theories about the origins of pyramids, some even suggesting they existed way back in 10,000 BC. Whether that's true or not, it's clear the Nubians took the idea of pyramids and made them their own unique thing. Machines of war. In 2018, researchers at Sinauli, a site in northern India, made a discovery that turned history on its head. Buried beneath layers of soil were royal graves, animal remains, and, the most exciting of all, 3 war chariots. This wasn't just an ancient junkyard, it was a Copper Age burial site holding secrets of a long-lost elite culture. But how was this historical discovery made, and what does it reveal about the people who once lived here? First, let's talk about those chariots. Crafted with wood and adorned with intricate copper designs, these vehicles were the Ferraris of their time. The wheels had copper triangles decorating the spokes, and the bodies featured complex geometric patterns. Sure, the copper has dulled with age, but back then, these chariots would have shone like trophies. Imagine riding one of these babies into battle. Talk about making an entrance. Now get this. These chariots were contemporaries of similar ones found in Mesopotamia and Greece. Coincidence? Maybe. Or perhaps these ancient civilizations were exchanging ideas. Or could spies have been to blame? The chariots weren't the only jaw-dropping find at the site. One grave contained a royal wooden coffin topped with human-like figures wearing double-horned helmets and clothing made of sacred fig leaves. This burial belonged to what archaeologists believe was a high-ranking military leader. The warrior's grave, a testament to his status, was overflowing with symbols of his earthly power. The copper helmet, adorned with intricate designs, hinted at his bravery. An ornamented whip suggested his command, and gold beads scattered across his chest perhaps reflected his wealth and the respect he commanded. So who was this guy? Clearly, the ochre-colored pottery, or the OCP culture that lived here around 2000 BC, wanted their warriors equipped for the afterlife, not just with supplies, but with enough bling to make the gods jealous. So what do these finds tell us about the OCP people? Until Sinauli, historians didn't think that Copper Age people in northern India were very warlike, but chariots and weapons tell a different story. These people weren't just farmers. They had armies and likely dealt with rivals over territory or resources. It also proves that they were more advanced than previously thought. Their craftsmanship, those intricate copper designs, shows they were skilled artisans, and their burial customs suggest that they definitely believed in an afterlife. Fun fact, the OCP culture, thriving between 2000 and 1500 BC, lived alongside the famous Indus Valley civilization. Did these two cultures trade ideas or clash swords? We may never know, but the Sinauli site proves that they were equals. Rare Roman dodecahedron. This little object has been confusing people for centuries. A dodecahedron is a 12-sided hollow object with varying sized holes on each face. But the truth is, nobody really knows what they were used for. These things have been found all over the Roman Empire. In the summer of 2024, amateur archaeologists from the Norton Disney History and Archaeology Group uncovered one of these Roman dodecahedrons in Lincolnshire, England. This peculiar object is one of just 33 that have been discovered in Roman Britain, and only about 130 worldwide. So this little 12-sided mystery is pretty rare. And guess what? This most recent find measures 3 inches across, making it one of the largest and best preserved examples ever found. As I mentioned before, experts are stumped when it comes to what these dodecahedrons were used for. Roman literature doesn't mention them, and they don't appear in mosaics or other artwork. Were they tools? Maybe something for measuring? Probably not, since each one is a different size, making them pretty useless for standard measurements. This particular dodecahedron also has no signs of wear, ruling out heavy-duty toolwork. Richard Parker, one of the leaders of the dig, believes that it might have been a religious or ritual object. The Romans were famously superstitious, relying on omens and objects to guide their decisions. This dodecahedron was found near a figurine of a Roman rider god, an artifact with strong religious connections. Was there a reason for that? Maybe, maybe not. What do you think? This dodecahedron, which is believed to be about 1700 years old, was found in pristine condition. That's unusual given the fact that most ancient artifacts show some wear and tear, but this one is like it just popped out of a Roman craftsman workshop. It was also buried with care, meaning that it was likely valuable to whoever owned it. In fact, it's so unique and well preserved that it's being displayed at the Lincoln Museum, which is just a stone's throw away from its discovery site. But here's where the story gets even juicier. Most Roman dodecahedra found in the past were discovered without proper archaeological context, meaning that nobody could tell where they came from or why they were buried. This one, however, was part of a structured excavation, giving experts a better chance to piece together its story. Was it part of a religious site, military encampment, a secret club? Okay, maybe not the last one, but the possibilities are endless. The team plans to return to the dig site later this year to search for more clues. Parker is optimistic that the full story will eventually emerge, especially since this find is so well documented compared to other discoveries. Any guesses as to what it is? Neanderthal Tar Factory. Turns out Neanderthals weren't just cavemen clubbing animals, they were crafty innovators. Archaeologists recently uncovered a 65,000-year-old factory in Gibraltar's Vanguard Cave. What was made in this ancient factory? a sticky substance that revolutionized the tool-making process of the Neanderthals. This was a place where Neanderthals turned ordinary plants into tar. It was a DIY workshop for glue before Homo sapiens ever knew what glue was. But how did they pull off this prehistoric science experiment? The discovery centers around a carefully built hearth, a round pit about 9 inches wide and 3.5 inches deep, with sharp walls and 2 little trenches. It sounds simple, but this wasn't your average campfire. Neanderthals used it to produce tar by burning resinous plants like rock rose, a kind of sticky shrub, in a low oxygen environment. Why low oxygen? It's the secret to turning plant resin into tar instead of ash. The pits and trenches helped control airflow and temperature, keeping it just right, around 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So, what was the tar for, you may be wondering? It was their ancient duct tape. Neanderthals used it as an adhesive to attach stone tools to wooden handles. Hunting and building would have been nearly impossible without tools. But this innovation gave them an edge in survival and proves that they were way ahead of their time. 20,000 years ahead of Homo sapiens, to be exact. But hold on, it gets even better. Scientists didn't just theorize how they did it, they recreated the whole process using Neanderthal-style tools and materials. And guess what? It turns out making this stuff wasn't a solo mission. It took at least 2 people, one to mind the fire and another to collect the tar. This shows us that Neanderthals weren't just smart, they were social creatures with advanced cooperation skills. Finding this tar-making setup in Vanguard Cave, which is part of the UNESCO-listed Gorham's Cave Complex, changes how we see Neanderthals. Far from being brutish, they were engineers and innovators who understood chemistry, mastered fire, and worked together. Are you surprised by any of this? Let me know in the comments. The Cave of Depravity. You can't trust anyone named Circe. Game of Thrones taught everyone that. But you know what else warns about a woman named Circe? Homer's Odyssey. This story describes a mysterious cave inhabited by Circe, a sorceress and seductress. And deep in the coastal cliffs of Italy's Mount Cercio, explorers believe they may have found that exact cave. If you've ever read about her, you know that Circe is no ordinary enchantress. In Homer's Odyssey, she lures Odysseus and his men into her den, where she serves them wine laced with magic. And you know what that magic does? It turns them into pigs. But did the cave in Italy really used to be her mythical hideout? Did Circe turn men into animals here? Listen to this and let me know what you think down below. Here's what happened. In May 2021, a team of explorers ventured into the split cave of Torre Paola, a rocky cavern along Mount Cercio's jagged coastline. Using kayaks and climbing ropes, they explored the cave's shadowy depths. What they found surprised even them. Ancient terracotta cases, clear evidence that humans, or sorceresses, had lived there long ago. This led researchers to believe that the cave could have inspired the legend of Circe. Circe, according to Homer, was the daughter of the sun god Helios and a sorceress known for her mastery of potions and spells. Her tale intertwines with Odysseus when she traps his crew in a year-long magical staycation after transforming them into pigs. But Odysseus, thanks to the god Hermes and a handy antidote, resists her spell, frees his men, and even forms let's say a complicated relationship with her. But not everyone is convinced that this cave is the cave. Historian Tommaso Lanzuisi argues that the sea levels 3,000 years ago would have submerged the cave. Plus, Homer describes Circe's home as a palace on an island, not a coastal grotto. So, is this a groundbreaking discovery or just a case of misplaced myth hunting? The jury's still out. For now, the cave isn't open to the public thanks to a rare bat species that scientists found inside. But whether this is Circe's lair or not, it's clear that the blend of myth and discovery still casts its spell on us, just without the pig transformations. The Sacred Church of St. Theodosius. Meet St. Theodosius, not your average monk. Born in Cappadocia around the 5th or 6th century, he craved solitude and prayer. He eventually settled in a cave in Palestine, believed to have been visited by the 3 wise men themselves. Talk about a holy history lesson! For 30 years, Theodosius lived a life of seclusion, attracting a growing number of followers. But soon, the crowds became overwhelming. So he prayed for guidance, and lo and behold, a miraculous sign from God led him to the perfect spot for a massive monastery, the Lavra of St. Theodosius, which would eventually house 700 monks. This wasn't just a place of worship, it was a beacon of compassion. Theodosius fed the hungry, sheltered the poor, and even built facilities for the sick and dying. Legend has it that during a severe famine, his prayers miraculously filled the monastery bakery with bread. Talk about divine intervention. But Theodosius wasn't just a gentle soul, he was a fierce defender of the faith. When heresies and persecution arose under Emperor Anastasius, Theodosius boldly stood his ground. He even marched into Jerusalem, publicly denouncing false teachings. This act of defiance landed him in prison. But despite the hardships, he lived to the ripe old age of 105, continuing to perform miracles and help those in need until his final breath. Fast forward to 2024, and archaeologists unearthed what might be Bulgaria's most significant historical find in the Tarnovo Holy Forest. Nestled near the Yantra River, this church boasts stunning architecture, unlike anything seen before in Bulgaria. Ancient texts confirm this site as part of the monastery founded by Theodosius during the Second Bulgarian Empire. Inside, researchers discovered incredible treasures: a 14th century bronze cross, a communion spoon, tangible evidence of the rich spiritual life that once thrived here. The most exciting part? Archaeologists believe they might be on the verge of locating the grave of Saint Roman of Turnovo, one of Theodosius' closest allies. This discovery could unlock invaluable insights into the lives of these legendary figures.
Thanks for watching! Be sure to stay tuned for extra content you might have missed. Bomb-shaped time capsule. In 2017, when construction workers in Manhattan's Flatiron District discovered a bomb from World War II, everybody was forced to evacuate and panic ensued. The NYPD's bomb unit was called in, and thankfully, the frightening object turned out to be a bizarre time capsule that looked like a bomb. The container was deposited by a nightclub called Danceteria, which was popular during the 1980s. Madonna, Andy Warhol, fashion designer Betsy Johnson, and the Rolling Stones are just some of the famous people who frequented the club. Former owner John Argento told Gothamist that the time capsule was not meant to be found for 10,000 years. He also claimed that he knew a scare like this would happen. The vessel contained letters addressed to Argento's future self. It was the product of an idea dreamed up by club promoter Rudolph Piper, who paid around $200 for the deceptively dangerous-looking time capsule. He was reportedly inspired by time capsules that were placed at the World's Fairgrounds in 1939 and 1964. The club collected letters for the time capsule for 3 weeks before burying it. Danceteria closed in 1986, but thanks to this shocking discovery, its legacy lives on. Death by lions. Executions throughout the Roman Empire were particularly gruesome, according to historians, who believe that lions were sometimes used for carrying out death sentences against humans. A copper alloy key handle found in Leicestershire, England in 2016 was the first solid evidence of this theory being true. The object dates back to around 200 AD, roughly 100 years after Rome conquered Britain. It was so old, its design was unrecognizable at first. A thorough cleaning revealed a design of a man fighting an angry lion as 4 naked and terrified youths looked on. It was unlike any other Roman artifact that had ever been discovered, according to study co-author Gavin Speed. A subsequent study concluded that the scene represents a public execution. The Friar's Causeway key handle, as it came to be known, illuminates the brutal character of Roman authority in this province, in the words of study co-author John Pierce. Rome has a well-documented history of its law allowing for criminals to be thrown to wild beasts. These brutal executions were known to happen at the Colosseum, but this is the first evidence of it happening as far away as Britain, which was on the outskirts of the Roman Empire. The London Times reported that lions were transported there from Mesopotamia and North Africa via riverboats and wagons. When we think of ancient Rome's legacy, some of the first things that often come to mind are their impressive architecture and technological innovations. But discoveries like this remind us that even advanced ancient societies engaged in gory practices that are nothing short of barbaric compared to modern-day standards. What do you think? Should bad people still be thrown to the lions? Let me know in the comments below. An unexpected encounter. Tennessee resident Casey Allen and her son Ethan recently visited North Myrtle Beach in North Carolina so the teenager could practice surfing. While reviewing footage of Ethan hitting the waves after the trip, Allen noticed something she didn't see before: her son's surfboard passing over a shark. Immediately after that happened, the shark jumped out of the water and Ethan fell off his surfboard. Just like his mom, he was unaware of the shark's presence at the time. Allen, who's from Myrtle Beach, wrote in a Facebook post that she had seen sharks in the water before, but had never captured one on camera. She posted the shocking video on social media and it went viral. Some commenters found the clip to be fascinating, while others thought it was downright terrifying. Reactions ranged from humorous, with one person writing, "Pretty cool photo bomb," to serious and concerned, with another person chiming in about how incidents like this are why their family stays out of the water when they visit the beach. Which side are you on? Let me know in the comments below. Yahoo News reported that the shark is believed to be a spinner shark. Adults reach between 6 and 10 feet long and weigh as much as 120 pounds, but are considered a non-threat to humans. Dangerous or not, crossing paths with one would certainly be unsettling. An ugly mummy. While investigating a site in the ancient Egyptian city of Aswan earlier this year, a team of Spanish researchers discovered an unopened tomb hidden in some cliffs. Archaeologist Dr. Martina Bardonova led the excavation that followed, which was carried out as the winds of a Saharan sandstorm approached gale force. The harrowing ordeal was broadcast on the British docu-series Secrets of Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Inside the tomb, the team found a nearly 4,000-year-old terracotta coffin. Dr. Bardonova carefully pried the lid off and was immediately put off by what she saw. She warned her colleagues that the mummy looked scary and to be careful. The mummy, if it can even be called that, was extremely poorly bandaged. They described the site as skeletal human remains covered in a black material. Additional experts were summoned to the scene to provide insight on the strange discovery. Bone expert Dr. Miguel Lopez explained that the remains belonged to a woman who was at least 70 years old when she died. Ancient Egyptians almost never lived that long. The average life expectancy was around 25 years old, just a fraction of the woman's age. For this reason alone, the burial is both bizarre and fascinating. And now for number 6. But first, it's shout-out time! Want to say a big thank you to Wilmer Santos and Tomasina Egan for being so nice and supporting Origins Explained. If you are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more amazing discoveries and come be part of the Origins Explained family. Love you guys! Increase in wildfires. Wildfires have become increasingly problematic in certain parts of the world in recent years, including California. Earlier this year, experts from the state's only wildfire research facility, the San Jose University-based Wildfire Interdisciplinary Research Center, made a disturbing discovery that does not bode well for the future in terms of combating these out-of-control blazes. During an annual visit to Mount Umunhum in the San Francisco Bay Area in April, the team noticed a distinct lack of new plant growth. It's something they're used to seeing at that time of year, which is the peak month for something called fuel moisture content, or FMC. This is the ratio of moisture to combustible material in plants, and it's used to determine a plant's proneness to burning. When FMCs are high, as they usually are in April, plants are least likely to catch fire. But these levels were terrifyingly low this year, as the region emerged from its third driest rainy season on record. The research center monitors FMCs at 3 sites in the area, and each one yielded equally dismal results. To give you an idea, the FMC measurements at one site, called Blackberry Hill, were lower than they were during California's last major drought, which lasted from 2012 to 2016. While there is no good news from these findings, making the information available helps fire behavior specialists and firefighting agencies prepare for the problems they can expect to face during the dry season. It's not looking good. California experienced its worst wildfire season on record last year, with over 10,000 fires destroying some 4.2 million acres of land. Speaking with the San Francisco Gate, Center Director Craig Clements expressed his fear that this year's wildfire season could be just as bad as the last. But we won't know for sure until the time comes, and this uncertainty makes it all the more frightening. A ghastly appendage. New Orleans is known for being one of the most haunted cities in the United States. drawing ghost hunters and paranormal thrill seekers from all over the world. But one supernaturally curious pair recently encountered a mystifying presence that was kind of more bizarre than scary. Corinne and Sabrina, who host a podcast called Two Girls, One Ghost, stopped at John Lafitte's Blacksmith Bar during a girls' trip. The historic drinking establishment does not use electricity and prefers to light candles instead, creating an eerie atmosphere to match its equally off-putting reputation as one of the city's many haunted properties. It's named after a man named John Lafitte, who was notorious during the early 18th century for his acts of piracy. While there, the duo took photos of their surroundings to see if the camera captured anything that was invisible to the naked eye. While going through the pictures, the ladies noticed what looked like a man's privates in the bar's fireplace. The woman said that while incidents like this are rare, sightings of John Lafitte's ghost are rather common. He's known for being somewhat of a ladies' man, occasionally giving female patrons a flirtatious pinch. That said, perhaps what the women saw makes some sense after all. Wasp home invasion. Australia's wildlife is known for being beautiful, bizarre, and sometimes deadly. Late last year, one woman from Down Under took to social media for help identifying a collection of mysterious brown blobs that appeared on her bathroom wall. Many commenters had no idea what the formations were, but they were horrified enough by this sight alone to tell the woman to just pick up and move. Why take the risk? Finally, some people recognized the structures as mud dauber wasp nests, and ecologist Dieter Hochuli confirmed this. But, he added, the things that go on inside their nests are nothing short of nightmarish. Mud dauber wasps paralyze spiders and seal them inside their nests, where they lay their eggs. Once hatched, the larvae feast on the dead spiders until they are ready to emerge from their nest and enter the outside world. Basically, the woman had zombie spiders and baby wasps growing on her walls. The good news is that the species is generally considered relatively harmless to humans, according to Hochuli, and he said that people should avoid spraying these nests because it could make the wasp mad and it will sting you. You are supposed to remove the nest from the home when the wasps aren't in it or near it. I think I'd probably just call a professional, or just never use that bathroom again. An abandoned mall. Earlier this year, a TikTok user who goes by the handle at Claire.Shulin rented a condo in Hollywood Beach, Florida on Airbnb. While there, she and her friend discovered an abandoned mall in the building's basement. Claire posted eerie footage of the disturbingly vacant facility, prompting alarmed reactions from followers, including one commenter who said they had a bad feeling about the place and advised the pair to leave. The video garnered nearly 6 million views in just 3 days. A man named Josh replied to the video saying that he had stayed at the site before. He was aware of the deserted mall and described the building as so run down and sketchy. Claire did not specify exactly where she was staying, but social media users speculated that she rented a condo at the Hollywood Beach Resort, which sits above the Ocean Walk Mall. Once a bustling shopping center, the beachfront mall is long abandoned, although the rooms and condos above it remain in use. The building is allegedly haunted, according to one Reddit user who seemed happy to be moving out of the area. Anyone who's interested in seeing the place for themselves can rent a room or apartment on Airbnb, where several owners advertise their space. But in addition to being downright creepy, the property has a reputation for being outdated, musty, and a haven for shady visitors. Go at your own risk. A desperate stowaway. Just recently, Afghanistan has erupted into chaos as the Taliban takes over parts of the country. It's a sad and scary situation, with many Afghani citizens resorting to extremes amid their desperation to leave. Footage of people swarming the runways at the Kabul airport and clinging to military aircrafts are flooding the front pages of newspapers around the world. A U.S. Air Force C-17 transport plane recently had to make an emergency landing after taking off from Kabul when the pilots noticed that they couldn't retract the landing gear. Inside the wheel well, they found the body of a stowaway. Someone had managed to sneak up into the wheel area to try to get out of the country. The disturbing discovery is just one of several recent examples of the lengths people are going in their attempts to flee the Taliban. It's extremely rare for stowaways to survive. Those lucky few are usually young, and the flights are typically short, according to the BBC. There are numerous risks to traveling in a plane's undercarriage. Being crushed by the landing gear is one possibility. Falling out of the plane when the landing gear compartment doors open prior to landing is another. Additionally, an airplane's wheel wells are not pressurized or heated. With temperatures in the sky dropping as low as -81 degrees Fahrenheit, suffering from hypothermia is not just likely, it's pretty much guaranteed. Many stowaways freeze to death, and if the frigid atmosphere doesn't kill someone, low oxygen levels brought on by high altitudes will. Flying anywhere past 18,000 feet above sea level outside of a pressurized cabin causes hypoxia. The person's lungs stop functioning properly, eventually causing them to black out and die. Bizarre basement swamp. One family encountered a rather unpleasant surprise earlier this summer while vacationing in northwest England's Lake District. A man named Rob, who goes by the TikTok username Robertibus, rented a home on Airbnb, hoping to catch a few days of rest and relaxation with his wife, daughter, and dog. His curiosity prompted him to find out what was behind a trap door in the floor beneath the sofa. After moving the furniture, Rob pried the doors open, revealing a dark, dreary staircase leading to the basement. At the bottom of the steps, he found a small brick room filled with a mysterious bright green liquid. The horrified vacationer posted the footage on TikTok, hoping someone would help him identify the strange substance. While most commenters were equally frightened and clueless, someone who works in real estate explained that the home probably had drainage issues. She said that the liquid was probably green from a tracing dye that may have been used in a previous attempt to locate a sewer. Rob confronted the homeowner, who confirmed that the basement had a leak and that the dye was used in an attempt to locate where the water was coming from. While the explanation made the situation a lot less scary, he pointed out that perhaps the property owner should make renters aware of the situation or lock the door leading to the basement. Not a bad idea if you ask me. Thanks for watching! Have you ever found anything creepy like this on Airbnb? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you later! Bye!